around, I finally see I think I need a change. The rat race, I wanna flee, my world I'll rearrange. I'm getting back to the roots of how it's meant to be. Growing gardens, picking fruit, racing livestock, living free. It's a modern homestead. Build a modern homestead.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Homesteading Podcast. I'm your host, Harold Thornborough. Glad you're joining me today. And I got a question for you today. Have you ever wanted to know who all the homesteaders around you were? The ones in your town, in your county, in your state? Have you ever wanted to work with some of them to learn the skills they have to make your homestead better and to make yourself more self-sufficient and sustainable? Well, today we're talking to the Homesteaders of Indiana. As folks know, I'm from Indiana, and this is a group that was started on Instagram. And today I have the founder, Paul Circle, and one of the admins, Brooke Schafer, to tell us all about the group and why they started and kind of where they're going and, you know, all the cool things they're doing. So let's just jump right into this conversation. Well, I'm joined today by Paul and Brooke. Paul and Brooke are both admins for the Homesteaders of Indiana. Do I call it a group or a page or a community? What do I call that exactly? I'm not real sure.
All those things.
All those things. Yeah, it's just
yes.
Yeah,
we are whatever you want us to be.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm a big fan of the Homesteaders of Indiana. I think what you guys are doing is great. You're bringing a lot of community together, helping homesteaders get to know each other. And I want to hear a little bit about how it got started, where it's going, just all the things. But before that, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Well, so how and why did Paul? Now you started it, right? You're the one that kind of got it going in the beginning.
I did, yeah. So I'd been on Instagram with my chickens page for about 2 years, and I really enjoyed the community of it. I was meeting people from all over the country, all over the world, chatting with them. That's kind of what hooked me into the whole thing, is just meeting people that had similar interests and similar lifestyles. But what I really liked was meeting or coming across accounts that were here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't seem like there was that many of them, but I was like, there's got to be more. So that's kind of what really drove me to start the account, was to help myself and others find each other. Because I knew there was like a thriving homesteading community here. I just didn't know where they were, who they were. So I took the business model, so Homesteaders of Michigan started first.
Okay.
So I saw what they were doing up there, talked to a couple of the admins. I was like, well, somebody's got to do it. So I was like, why not me? So I started one for Indiana. And yeah, it's just my desire to meet people that live close or closer to me that kind of got it all going.
And when that was in 2019?
2019.
Right.
Yep.
2019. Yeah. So right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
You decided to bring people together. Yeah. Well,
Which, when you think about that timing, I mean, how wonderful is that, right? So, you know, this was going, and Paul had really built this robust group of people coming together. And then, you know, we find out about making our food systems more local, you know, and homesteading becomes a little bit more front line for a lot of people. You know, people become interested in gardening who had never thought about it, or chickens or whatever. And then, you know, you go forward now to 2022, and it's much more mainstream to have a chicken coop in your backyard and a garden bed. And that kind of like victory garden type thing is come back in a way that there's a lot of young people and older, all different ages people, but a lot of young people coming into homesteading right now. And it's so great to have their energy as part of this learning.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I didn't even like you, Paul. I didn't know there were so many Indiana homesteaders until you guys started the page, you know. And then it was like I started seeing. I'm connecting with them through you guys, because every time you guys would share one, of course, I'm, you know, making contact there too, you know, and trying to get to know people. And that was great. Yeah, you doing a great job of introducing other homesteaders for sure. And like I said, I didn't even know there were so many so close. I mean, you find out they're 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away all around you, you know, and didn't even know they were there. That's
I think
really neat.
Brooke literally met neighbors.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that I found a couple in this town, right in this county, you know, that I didn't know
Right.
were here for sure. Yeah.
And Paul, the Meet the Hoosier day that you do, that's a super important way. If you want to speak to that about how we're helping people meet each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like really my like original idea for the page was I was going to introduce one local Indiana homesteader per week. Thought Meet a Hoosier Tuesday had a nice ring to it, so I said on Tuesday. So from within a few weeks of the page being started, that weekly feature has been a staple on the page. So we're what 3.5 years into this right now. And
Yeah.
I've featured, 52 weeks. What is that? 150 people,
Yeah. But
something
more,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And we got thousands of followers. There's plenty more to go.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Like, what kind of growth have you seen in that? I mean, you started out, did you expect it to get real big? Or, I mean, what happened there?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I think like I said, I reached out to the admins of the Homesteader Michigan page. I was actually good friends with one of them. We hosted a hashtag together back in the day, but I was like, how do you guys find accounts? And they basically would go to like farmers markets pages and just scroll through and see who the farmers markets followed. Or they would search like regional hashtags like Indiana farmer or whatever. So that's really kind of how I originally found people was I found farmers markets pages, looked through to see who they were following, just did regional hashtag searches. So started following people, they started following back. It's just kind of grown organically. I mean, we don't have like a massive following, but I mean, we do kind of like a little niche of Indiana.
Yeah.
We love it when people that don't live in Indiana follow us. But I mean, we're not seeking them either, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, I think you guys are setting a great example for any states that aren't doing it, because I think it should be something that should just be spread across the country.
Every state needs it. I mean, it's amazing to see how these people, we of course have folks who are following the page who are not in Indiana, are just wanting to be part of community and learn. And, those educational opportunities exist for everyone. But to bring those Indiana, there's so much that we do virtually now. I mean, even this interview is virtual, right? But it's so wonderful to have these face-to-face connections that get made through, like, for example, we have some chats that are for specific regions. So someone would get on the east side of Indianapolis chat and say, I have a goat that's having this problem. What do I do? And then the people who know about goats will help walk them through it. And then maybe that leads to a face-to-face. I mean, I've probably had about 10 people to my farm personally who I met through this page.
Yeah.
And, to have them come over and just literally one person came over and we harvested peas together and just sat while the babies were playing in the grass and we were picking peas, just like beautiful connection, right?
That's great. Yeah. Have you been really surprised with the connections? I mean, has anything really stood out as like, well, that's just really amazing, other than just the direct friendships maybe that you've developed? Have you seen anything bigger than that? I mean, that's a big thing to me, but has anything come about that you feel like, wow, this made it all worth it for sure?
Just the feedback, honestly, from people. I don't pretend like I'm anything special. Like I was just the guy willing to do it. I mean, I didn't know what it was going to become. Yeah. But just hearing people talk about how they've, especially like through these Meet a Hoosier Tuesdays, that's people are like, oh wow, you live in the same town I do, or the same county I do, or 20 minutes from me, and so that leads to a discussion or a friendship that can be built through a virtual community, but can turn into a real life, friendship.
Absolutely.
Brooke, I met her through Instagram, but I've met her in real life now, probably 6-8 times, something like that.
Right. And those connections are so important, especially when you're trying to learn something that you can't do as an island. You really need other people to be part of that. And for example, we had a event a little over a year ago, that was just a meetup event. Just come to this event. We're all going to get to meet each other. You came. Great.
I was there for about 20 minutes.
Good. Well, I'm glad you came. And, for example, I was helping run the table where we were doing a seed swap. And so people brought seeds and you took seeds, and just that concept of just sharing those things. Then I grew those things in my garden the next year and people would reach out and say, hey, I grew tomatoes that you gave me at that seed swap, or I grew marigolds I got from somebody that I've never grown marigolds on purpose. It just wasn't a plant that appealed to me really. And then I'm in love with marigolds, and
I think I got some I got some loofah seeds, I think, from somebody.
Yes, they were great loofah seeds. But those sort of events build this community that leads to these relationships that become really important you'll see a lot of bartering. I'll trade you this jar of jam for this. I traded some different kinds of jams for a duck, and just those little things make a big community.
That's what I was curious about.
Equal a large community. Absolutely.
I was curious if there was actually deeper connections than just friendships. Actually, like I said, trading, bartering, maybe business relationships forming.
Yes.
I mean, I could see a lot of that maybe coming into play. I didn't know if you knew of some of that, but it sounds like I bet there was quite a bit of that's happened even behind the scenes that you don't even know about, that the admins don't even know about. How many admins are there?
9 currently.
9 of you. Okay.
Which is the most we've ever had. We ran with about 4 or 5 for a long time. But as we've grown and have new ideas and things we want to do, we all volunteer, none of us get paid. So we've tried to add more so we have more specific tasks. So it's not a burden on any one of us to do all the things. So as we have something else come along and we don't think we can handle in-house, we go and look for somebody else to hop on and help us with aspects of stuff.
So what it's been so far is a way to connect Hoosier homesteaders together, develop friendships, maybe more. Where's it going? What's the plan? Is that it, or you got bigger plans than that?
Oh no, lots coming.
Yeah.
I'll let Brooke chime in here just a minute, but yeah, we're trying to really blow this thing up. We want to be the go-to resource for all things Indiana Hoosier homesteading. It takes time. We have ideas out the wazoo, so it's trying to implement those in the right order. So our biggest thing this year is classes. We're doing more small personal classes. I think we're going to do some.
I seen the soap class that you just had.
Yeah, but that was our first one. And I think we're going to probably put some digital content together also where you can just purchase a course and stuff like that. Brooke is the one in charge of, or one of the admins in charge of classes. So I'll let her touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, the classes have been wonderful. There's several different admins who are working on these classes together. So it's not just me. But we pulled off the soap class, which was a big undertaking. We really wanted people to walk in and be able to have all the supplies they needed there, and leave with a mold of soap that they had made themselves. But that's a lot of organization. That's a lot of supplies. Yeah. It's a lot of having the right teachers, a lot of back work. And we were able to pull it off. It went very well. We have a sourdough 101 class coming up. We're going to be doing in January. We've got seed starting that's going to be in March. And we're trying to do a class at least every other month for this first year to sort of get an idea of how it works, how it goes. And it's just so hard to only pick 6 topics to teach in a year.
And pick a place too. I mean, you're trying to scatter them around a little bit and get them closer to certain people and things like that, I would imagine.
We're trying to move them around the state to make sure this is not just a central Indiana. This is not just an east side of Indianapolis. This is statewide. And so we are trying to be like the one for sourdough is going to be in Lebanon, Indiana. Okay. It's actually going to be at the county fairgrounds there in Lebanon. And that exact date should be released within the next week or so. And then, the one for seed starting is going to be in Delaware County up in Muncie.
Oh, so wow. Real close to me. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to keep spreading those around. We've got some hopes and dreams for teaching some in northern Indiana. And then, of course, we'll be coming down to southern Indiana as well to just really it's the whole state. And we really want to make sure that, but also, of course, it's available to anybody. I mean, you don't have to show your ID to prove you live in Indiana. There's options.
A lot of people are funny about raising their hand saying, I'm a homesteader too, because they don't think they are, I just got a small garden. I'm not a homesteader. I hear that a lot.
So much. I feel like whenever I meet people for the first time, they're like, well, I'm not a real homesteader. And I'm like, you are, if you feel that you are.
I've convinced a lot of people they are. I'm telling you.
There is no definition that says you can't go through a drive-through every now and again and still be a homesteader, right?
Or live in a town and be a
live in
homesteader.
town.
You
I
know,
mean,
there's
Paul
a
is
lot
an
of that.
urban homesteader.
Me
Yeah.
too.
I
am
deal
too.
with imposter syndrome on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I am, but like, I don't do nearly as much as so many people. You know, I have a quarter acre, I have a garden, some ducks and some chickens, but I am homesteading. I'm on an urban scale, but I am, and I enjoy it. And that's always become one of my biggest things too, is like preaching. Like, you don't have to have 10, 15, 20, 100 acres.
Right.
And you don't have to have 6 varieties of animals. Like, you can literally homestead on the balcony of your apartment.
Absolutely.
You know, buy some 5-gallon tubs and plant some tomatoes and some herbs.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and you can even be
dreaming.
You could be dreaming of homesteading. You know, maybe it doesn't make sense in your current life for whatever reason, but you can still learn about it. It's still great skills to have. And there's still
I've told people that a lot. You know, even if you're living in an apartment and you have no place to grow anything, you can start working on the skills. You can go buy things at the farmer's market and start learning how to can and preserve and do things, and you're skill building, and you're preparing for that day when you can maybe put a garden in or whatever. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a homesteader, because it's a mindset thing. It's like, I'm preparing to do this, you know, and I think that's important to realize and convince people of, because I think, like you said, there's an imposter syndrome there. Like, I don't want to call myself that, but you know, if it's how you feel, you know, I think you are. And I think classes like that are great to help build those skills. It looked like you had a great turnout for the soap class from the pictures I saw of it. And I bet you're going to have some really great turnouts on all these classes, because people want to learn these skills. You know, in a lot of places, these are forgotten skills, and you know, people want to get in touch with that and relearn those things and pass them down to their children. So I think what you're doing there is great. Absolutely.
Thank you. And you know, watching a YouTube video about those skills is a great way to learn. That is a good resource, but there is something really different about that. Like I said earlier, that face-to-face connection is what makes a real emotional attachment, right?
Yeah.
And so being in a room with someone where you're smelling what sourdough smells like, you're learning about those things face to face are so different than just watching a video about it.
And then you go and you connect
people
with people, and now you might find somebody who can be like a mentor to you, that's close to you, and you can learn a bunch of other things from them, you know, like that. So that works great as well. Yeah. Well, I love that. Is there another statewide big meetup going to happen again like last year in the future, or are you guys done with that?
And so the conference this past year, back in October, that wasn't actually us.
No, not that one. The one I went to.
Yeah.
The meetup
the
we
one
had
we did in 2021.
Okay, was that in 2021? Okay.
Yeah. No, maybe. Probably more regional. If we just do like a meetup with not any educational value to it, really, we'll probably do more like regional stuff, whether it be the west side of the state or southern or northern or whatever. Actually, I know there's some homesteaders in northern Indiana right now. They just rented a venue and they're planning a meetup of their own. We're not really involved, but
we're glad for them, and we know
we will promote it for them.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that they're out there. Someone's out there taking that initiative to bring her little community, there in north central Indiana together.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll do another statewide one. Our plan was to do a conference like what just happened a couple months ago, with classes and it being an all-day thing.
Yeah.
Then this other conference popped up out of nowhere. And we're like, well, that's what we were going to do.
I didn't even hear about that until like 2 weeks before it happened. And then they were already sold out. And I was like, where did this thing come from? I didn't even know this was happening.
That was such an ambitious undertaking, and they did an amazing job. Those classes
like
were so good. They had so much great communication. Like, it was wonderful. And we hope to be able to keep being, friends with them and being part of that future endeavors. And, there's just always information to be shared, and people are interested in these topics. And so the more education we're getting out, the better for everyone in the whole state.
Sure.
And beyond.
I'd like to hear your personal reasons why you think it's important.
You go, Brooke.
I'll tell you that. So, Harold, my I work full-time off farm. So I'm a nurse practitioner. I run a treatment program for pregnant women with substance use disorders. And that is a really intense job. And it takes a lot of emotional connection and attachment. And it's really important work, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I come home, I'm looking for sanctuary. And I always say, like, my personal life is a low drama environment. It's a peaceful place. And so for me, homesteading is a huge part of my physical and mental health. So it makes me very physically active, which keeps me fit, which keeps me mentally well, which makes me able to be a better mother, a better wife, a better person who cares for other people. So homesteading for me is a big part of my mental health.
Okay.
And so the great part of it is it makes food and it does all these other, like, those are awesome parts of it. But that having your hands in the dirt and having animals you care for and collecting your own eggs and, that warm egg in the wintertime, like that beautiful tomato in the summer, like the art of it is something that makes me so happy.
So because of what it means to you, you've developed a passion to share that with others. Absolutely. And see others be involved with it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Paul, for you?
Yeah, my biggest thing is the community. Why? Well, if we're talking like on a social aspect or Instagram or Facebook, whatever, it's the community. Yeah, I love connecting people. I love connecting with people. I spend entirely too much chatting with people online. My wife will tell me at least once or twice a week, like, hey, put your phone down, pay attention to me.
Yes.
No, I just love bringing people together. On a personal note, kind of like Brooke said, I just really enjoy the lifestyle. Like, I enjoy going out and working in my garden. I've kind of pigeonholed myself into being this chicken guy on Instagram, which is cool. I like my chickens. I like my garden more, honestly. But people don't follow me from my garden, so you see most of the chicken content. But
well,
I just
you kind of ruined that with your name. What is it? 17?
Yeah.
Was it 17 chickens and counting or something?
17 chickens and counting. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, I kind of pigeonholed myself into this.
You set the expectation.
Yeah. But it's fine. But no, I love going out and being in my yard and, playing in the dirt and, watching my chickens and ducks and whatever else run around the yard. But yeah, and I like to share it with other people. Yes. And then I like to see what they share and share what they share with other people. And that's primarily what Homesteaders of Indiana does. So we just share other people's content. We only do a few original posts. So it's mostly sharing other people's content, but it's like, hey, look what this person's doing.
Yes.
Look at this cool thing this person did, or this cute little pig that this, person, just had on their homestead.
And you grow to really celebrate those successes with them. Yeah. There's a friend of ours on the page who had her first round of piglets this year. And everyone was cheering like a human baby had been born. It was so exciting. And those connections are so lovely to share those passions and those attachments.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you're helping a lot of people. I think a lot of homesteaders like me, and there's a lot of others who are kind of introverted. Now, you don't seem that way, but some of us are. And it's hard to get out there and meet people even with have similar interests. And you guys are making it a lot easier to make those connections for a lot of people, for sure. And I think that's really good because I think it's important. I mean, I have a whole different set of reasons why I think homesteading is important. And I like to see people who have any desire at all to be able to start doing it. And you guys are definitely helping the cause there and doing a lot to make that happen. And something I have seen, and I don't know, I'm sure you guys have noticed this as well, but I've noticed some counties breaking down and going like, homesteaders of whatever county. And I've been seeing some groups start like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I just seen a couple. I don't think one started in my county or anything, but I've been seeing that just sporadically in some different counties. And I thought, that's really neat because now you're getting really local connections where they can be super involved with each other.
You had done a podcast a couple episodes back about like sharing resources and sort of having like community resources that you share.
Yeah.
And, that's something that we can do in these chat groups that we have on the Indiana Homesteaders page, where we'll have, again, like that East Side Homesteader, the Central Indiana Homesteader, where you're not just sharing information, but they're also sharing resources. Hey, I've got this, thing that you need, this tool that you need, right? I'll let you use that. And then we can trade for something I need.
Yeah. Or
And
just be there to help labor with one another. You know, if somebody needs an extra hand to build a barn or a shed or something and come over
and
and
I'm
help me
seeing
with my chicken
teenagers
coop.
get summer jobs through that.
Mhm.
You know, my
Yeah.
teenage daughter's looking for this, and somebody says, I'll hire her to do that, you know, and
Or
those connections.
You want to take a vacation in the middle of the summer. Who better to help take care of your farm than another homesteader come over and feed your animals for you, or something like that.
I really did leave on a 2-week vacation this summer, and I have animals, and I got it done by using my resources from this homesteading group to set up who was going to take care of my animals. Who knows what's a sick chicken and what's a grumpy chicken? Like, what's the difference? You know,
is there a difference? I didn't know.
You know, well, right. It's kind of the same, but that is still a great way to find those, because you do want to leave property sometimes for some reasons. And that is a nice way to be able to do that with those connections.
Yeah. Great. Well, you guys started on Instagram. I've seen you're on Facebook, and I've recently seen you made a website as well.
Yeah, we just launched our website 2 years later. I started building it. I don't like doing web stuff. So that's a situation where I realized that was a weakness of mine. So I brought in or found the right admin that came in and was gung-ho and got that thing up and running for us. So the website's still kind of growing and developing. It'll eventually have more resources on it and different stuff. But yeah, we started that website. We have a YouTube channel now also.
Seen the YouTube channel,
videos on it, and they're mostly
blog.
But we hope to kind of build the YouTube audience and perfect our filming skills. But we're trying. Like I said, you got to start somewhere. And I think we're doing a good amount. You know, we want to do more, but
and the blog call that goes along with that too. All the info on the blog that you
the blog. We have it's releasing tomorrow is our holiday gift guide. We literally spent 15-20 hours reaching out to small businesses all around the state of Indiana, just trying to help them out by putting them in this digital downloaded PDF gift guide to help support them and encourage our followers to shop local this holiday season. So between myself and other admins, and we've literally spent 20 to 30 hours putting this thing together.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Just because we want to, we want to support. And they're not even necessarily homesteaders. They're just small businesses.
Sure.
But, we want supported, and, we want to support them also.
And that's going to be posted at the website?
Yeah, it'll be on the website tomorrow. They'll have a little Facebook, Instagram announcement also. And
it'll go out we try to keep an email group. So people will register their emails with us, and then we'll send them an email copy of this. And that's not because we're selling their emails. We keep their privacy very seriously, but that's just so we can do things like send them an email of this gift guide. And, for example, the turkey going on my table on Thanksgiving is from a person on this gift guide that had turkeys, and I don't want to raise my own turkey, but I did want a farm fresh one, so I got it from her. It's never even been frozen. It went right from the butcher to my refrigerator.
That's awesome.
On 2 days ago. So
that's why things like that is why I love the idea of this community, because you can just make those connections. If you want to get, a half a hog or something from somebody, or get a turkey from somebody, or get a few chickens, that are, pasture raised chickens. I just, we all can't do everything, but as a community, you can do most things, and you can barter with one another and make these, and get this stuff to feed your family, or do the things you want, or the supplies you need, or whatever. And community is so important. I've really been thinking a lot about that, harping on that a lot about that on the podcast, because the more you're around this, the more important that seems to be. You think when you first start homesteading, self-sufficiency is the word we throw around it, which it has nothing to do with being by yourself. It's self-sufficiency is using your resources, and community is absolutely one of those resources for being self-sufficient. And we need to, be part of that community and be there for others, and people can be there for us. And it's not easy for everybody. Some people struggle with that, but groups like this make it way easier. And I think what you're doing is fantastic. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it for sure. And I know I love what you guys are planning with the classes and the training and hopefully some more conferences. I love stuff like that. I didn't get to, I had other things to do the last one, and I just didn't get to spend a lot of time meeting people, and I was in and out and got my shirt and hit the road. And I was like, oh man, I wanted to stick around,
that was a whirlwind. That day was, I met people I don't remember meeting. I was like, they're like, oh yeah, I met you last year at the conference. I was like, okay.
But there'll be more to come. And, we're really trying hard to participate with the other area groups, like this conference that they just pulled off in October, which was so great earlier. That was fantastic, but we were glad to be there and be part of it, be meeting people. And a lot of our admins taught different breakout sessions or different classes, and there's no competition in this. It's all about just all of us helping.
That's right.
Be resources to others. So
that's such a great thing about Homesteaders. It's like nobody's really in competition with each other. We're all just friends, we just want to help each other out all the time. And I love that. It's what's so great about this community, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I wish every state had one of these pages. And I keep preaching it. I'll put stuff on my own personal Instagram every now and then about it. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. You should consider doing this also. And there are other states. Yeah. I have consulted 4 or 5 different states that do have pages.
Yeah.
And actually there's an Ohio page. I'm actually in their admin chat group because I took that page over about a year ago because it had kind of gone, what's the word I'm looking for? Defunct, whatever. The person that was running it quit. So I took it over, lined up new admins. But nice. I wish more states would do it. And if anyone ever wants to start one, I always tell them, hey, reach out to me. I'm willing to share ideas and resources. And because this could be like, you've got Homesteaders of America, which is a great nationwide organization.
Yeah, Amy's done great with that.
That local aspect is so important. And I don't think people realize there's a value there. Or they'll be like, well, there's not very many homesteaders in my state. Well, I thought the same thing before I started this page.
Yeah.
I thought there was literally like 15 of us on Instagram. Come to find out, there's several thousand of us.
Yeah, there's
on Instagram. And then there's this whole Facebook audience that we are just now starting to realize is there. We had not really focused much on Facebook in the past. So that's kind of our current thing. We're really trying to focus more there because we realize there's a whole different demographic on Facebook than there is Instagram.
I think you'll find YouTube also. I think there's a bunch on YouTube that aren't on regular social medias as well. So as that channel grows, I'm sure you'll start meeting a bunch through there also. I mean, I think Homesteaders of America, that's where they really got their people to rally was through YouTube actually. And I know some of the people that are involved with the Homesteaders of New England, and I know they had a conference this year up there, and they got a pretty good thing going on in that area. You're right. I'd love to see all the states just take advantage of that and really rally their people. And I just think that would just create a sense of community among homesteaders all across this nation. And I think it would make a huge difference in the system, just the way things function, for sure.
Absolutely. And those same things where, if we had a bad frost that came at a weird time and you lost this part of your crop, there's somebody else in a little bit of a different zone who's still close to you that you can work together on what that's going to mean. And, that's, I joke that one of the friends of our page, I call her my personal farmer's almanac, because I base when she's planting her garlic, that means it's time for me to plant my garlic, and because she's watching that weather, she means it, and those kind of local things are so important. The nationwide ones are very important as well, but having that local resource for how to plant specifically and where you are and what you're doing and what animals work well in your area, those are important things to really focus.
Yeah, I seen Paul's video about winterizing his chicken coop there.
Yes.
I'm thinking, so you don't get that from somebody down in Georgia. We need an Indiana folk to show us how to winterize a coop in this area.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some people from Canada chimed in. They're like, we need this back in August.
Exactly. And that's exactly right, though. It's for your area. You kind of get things at the right time and in the right way, and it's different for everybody. So you're right. I think that's why it's so important to have those local, people to kind of guide us and tell us when is the right time, especially if you're new to it. If you're new to homesteading, it's just an all new ball game, and you don't know what you don't know. And it's nice to have people around you who can kind of guide you and help you and keep you from making mistakes. And we all are going to make mistakes, but it's nice when animals aren't dying because of your mistakes. I mean,
Right.
you lose some veggies, that's one thing, but if your animals start suffering, it's a whole other thing. So so it's always good to be in touch with people who know what they're doing and learn from them on things like that. So I think it's great. Well, I mean, so you got the classes coming up. You can, beyond a year from now, I mean, is there anything else? You just thinking more classes, more connections, anything else on the horizon?
We've discussed starting a podcast.
Yeah, everybody
not to compete. Trust
no,
me.
hey, just like in homesteading, there's no competition there. We're all
Right.
friends. I would promote your podcast gladly.
It would just be to highlight solely Indiana accounts, kind of like a Meet Hoosier Tuesday, but in a longer format. We've discussed doing like 92 counties in 92 weeks, where we actually go and visit one homestead per county.
I'm really excited for that one. I think that would be so fun. I love this.
It's going to be a big undertaking, but if we all work together, I think we can pull it off. Like I said, we got the classes. We're going to work on some digital content also. A big thing we want to do is we want to put together a resource list that has literally all the resources you could think of as a homesteader here in Indiana. Now it's going to take a lot of digging on our part to find these resources or asking people to share their resources. So it's like, oh, you live in Adams County, Indiana. Here is 2 poultry vets, and here's 5, whatever,
sourcing feed would be I could see for sourcing feed suppliers and things like that. For sure.
So we really want to work on putting something together like that. Probably not for a profit, just to help our neighbors out and help that brand new homesteader know where to go to get certain things, or who to contact. So that's going to take a lot of man hours to put together. Again, just us reaching out to people and asking, hey, will you share who you use and stuff like that. But that's a big thing we really want to get put into place in the next year. So we haven't started working on it yet because we've been focused on a few other things, but that's definitely something we're going to, And then at that conference, we're hoping to be more involved with that next year. We're going to meet with them here in January, the people who did it last year, kind of figure out how we can be more involved. Try
to be helpful to them in whatever resources we can provide, or even if it's just manpower, advertising, just being part of their community, make sure they know that we're a source for them. And we also have another thing that's coming up is we're going to be, this summer, we haven't picked a date just yet. It'll probably be early fall of next year of 2023. We're going to do a farm crawl, which was done in the Zionsville area. They had great success with doing a farm crawl there. So it was, I believe, 10 homesteads. You got a free map that showed you where they were. And on one Saturday in September, these were open to the public, these homesteads. Wow. And you could go and see them and see what they were doing. And this fall, we'll have one coming in the Pendleton area for all the farms that are in this area. And just, it's an open house, basically.
Yeah,
and you
that's
get a
neat.
Free map, and you go to these places and you see what they're doing and how they're doing it.
It was really cool. So I went to the north side one this past year. And I made it to 7 of the 10 farms, I think. But I mean, it's just so cool to like walk around their properties and see their animals and see their setups. There's this one up there that does like hydroponics or aquaponics.
Yeah, I've got an aquaponics setup.
Actually raises tilapia, and then has that water going through his aquaponics system. And it was like so cool to see it in real life and then talk to him and be like, what led to this? And he was like, it's just a hobby, and it kind of evolved into being a legit business. But so planning that other one, and if other people in other areas of the state want to do it, we would lend some resources also to hey, here's what you need to do to plan these farm crawls. The north side one this past year got some news coverage even. So
oh really?
Yeah.
And what a great way to introduce people, families that maybe didn't even know they were interested in this. They just wanted their kids to come out and see the miniature ponies at my house. But then they get there and they find out that the kid is obsessed with the garden. I've had that happen. People came to see my ponies, but the kid just wants to talk about how a carrot grows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey,
give them one and they'll be hooked for life. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't taste like a store-bought one for sure. Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Carrot for the life of me, so I want to
know. Yeah, everybody's got that thing or two that they have trouble growing. Yeah, celery for me. I have trouble with celery.
I successfully grew celery this year. Not very much of it, but I didn't start. I actually bought the start, but I didn't kill it. So
hey, that's half the battle right there.
That counts. That's a win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, again, you're opening people's minds up to the possibilities, seeing things. I've always said that I think just as important as education on doing things is inspiration, and just seeing things like that and being inspired. That'll carry you a long way, because I mean that's kept me going at times when I didn't feel like going, just being inspired by other people doing it. So I think when they can see other people's farms and check it out and see things, and the same thing with the Instagram pages and being able to see what people are doing in those pictures and meet them. I think that's just really inspiring, and it's motivating to keep you going even on your own homestead.
Yeah,
for sure. So I think that's another side benefit of what you're doing there. You're just keeping people motivated.
Which that is part of the battle, right, of homesteading, is keeping. I mean, I always say I never bring any new animal home in February. Yeah. Right. Because it's not the greatest time of the year to homestead in Indiana, Right. And it's so that keeps that motivation rolling of like, okay, here's how they're doing it. I want to try that. I've been doing this homesteading of some form for 20 years, and I've learned new things every year. I mean, there's just so much to learn. My whole life, I'll be learning about this. You can't ever know everything.
Yeah, you'll have people showing up these classes, to learn what seems like what might be a basic skill for a lot of the people there, but they've been homesteading for 30 years, but they've never done that. And they'll learn that new thing that that they've never done before.
Teacher we have lined up for the seed starting class, like she does just the most weird, odd things that like I would have never thought to do, or like growing things in weird containers. And, so like I'm
very clever.
I'm going to actually go to that class as an attendee, not to represent Homesteaders of Indiana, because I'm just cool. It's very interesting to see how other people do stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a bunch of ways to do it right. There's a lot of ways
she does on her Instagram page, but to actually go there and like pick her brain in real life.
For sure.
It'd be pretty cool. And so, I know how to start seeds, but like I'm sure I can learn something from that class.
Sure.
Oh, definitely. And the sourdough class, again, I've been homesteading to some degree for 20 years, but I've never touched sourdough until 6 months ago. Yeah. The lady that's going to be teaching that class if she could teach me how to do sourdough, she can teach anybody, because that was not a skill that came to me naturally.
Yeah, I started doing sourdough about a year ago, and I'm still kind of struggling with it, just the discarding and getting everything right.
Yes,
I forget, and then I'm trying to play catch up with it and everything else. And I do the same thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
My wife handles the sourdough, but she's pretty good at it.
She's in charge. But those skills, that is just, there's always something new to learn. And there's always something to refine. I mean, I've been gardening for over 20 years, but I learn something new about gardening every year.
Yep. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's better if you can learn it from somebody else other than learning it the hard way.
Yes.
You'll learn either way, but it's much better to learn by somebody else's experiences for sure.
Yeah. For sure. And that's been fun too, is to have these extremely seasoned homesteaders. I just met someone a couple weeks ago who'd been doing urban homesteading. She was in her 60s, and she says she's been doing it as long as she's been in a house, since she was in her 20s. And she said that her neighbors always looked at her like she was crazy. And then the last 2 years, they're looking over the fence like, well, how do you set up your compost pile? And where do you put your chicken shavings at? And asking all these questions, that she said she was so excited to have the interest in it.
Yeah.
So meeting that seasoned homesteader as well, and all the wisdom they have to bring.
It's funny. I think urban homesteaders actually stir up more interest than people out in the country, because you don't expect to see it there. And I know people do that with my homestead, because I'm an urban homesteader. We got about a 1/4 acre here also. And I mean, people are just fascinated by how much you're doing on a small piece of land, and I guess there's one suggestion I got for the group is, you start highlighting more urban homesteaders, because I really get excited about those.
Yes,
hey,
that's true. And there's so much to learn from urban homesteaders, even if you're not on an urban homestead, because using space wisely is using time wisely as well.
Yeah.
So even though I might have space, I don't have time. So that's where I need to be careful and maximize it. And that's what urban homesteaders really bring to that, is that great use of space is also a great use of time.
Yep.
When we were starting our regional chats, they're on Instagram, there's by far the most accounts in central Indiana. So every other region, we just threw them all together. So you got like Northwest, Southwest, whatever. Well, for central Indiana, we have like 200, 300 accounts that chimed in that want to be part of this. Like, well, that's too many for one group chat. So we broke it down to urban and country pumpkins is what they want to be called. But we still gave everyone the option, is like, which chat do you want to be in? And there's a bunch of people. I think Brooke's one of them. She's in both the country and the urban because she enjoys seeing what the urban folks are doing and how they're going about things and managing their space. So I could do way more than I do. I still value having a yard a little bit, at least for now with little kids around and everything. But I know a lot of people have seen my garden setup, which is built on my side yard. I had about 10 feet from my house to my property line. That was really wasted space. There wasn't much I could do with it. So I was like, hey, let's fence this in and make it the garden. Now, it's not the most convenient ever because it's really hard to weed the back because I can't get all the way around, but it works, And I've had
it's a great use of space, Paul.
I've had other people see that and be like, well, I got this really narrow side yard also. I'd never thought to turn that into my garden.
Right.
And there are challenges with it, but at the same time, it's using the space I have, and
and I try to use a lot of edible landscape stuff, which I learned from all the urban gardeners about the stuff they post about using their beds around their house. I don't have to, but I do because it's convenient. It looks nice.
Well, I mean, I have my primary garden, but I have just as much garden space sprinkled around the rest of my property. Like just random beds here or there.
That's kind of how I do it too. And it's amazing how many trees and things. We got 20 trees on this property, quarter acre plus a large garden and 20 fruit trees, so I mean, you can do a lot. You can do a lot with a small piece of property. If you do it right, that's the key. You just got to put some be a lot more intense about your planning and how you set things up and just shading and things like that. But you can do some amazing things. So it would be neat to see more what people are doing in those small spaces. I'm fascinated by that. I always get a kick out of seeing what people are doing.
We'll make sure. That's giving me ideas. I'm writing it down. We need to make sure we're doing urban.
I've already got a few accounts of mine to reach out to. So
we
need to do an urban. We need to come do a tour of your garden so that we can get that on.
Not right now. It's pretty dead right now. Maybe next year.
Not right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'd like to see a lot more of that. But I think what you're doing is great. I mean, you guys are highlighting a lot of people doing a lot of cool things, and I think that there's a lot of skill building that's going to happen because of this group, and a lot of connections that are going to be made because of this group. And that right there, you guys can feel real proud of what you're doing for sure. I think you've just done an amazing thing. Even if you didn't even intend for it to be that amazing, I think it did. It turned into something really special. I think you're doing a great job with it. I will say that what you're doing, everything you're doing isn't free. So you guys do sell swag and things like that to go towards the funding on some of these projects. Yep. We're all three wearing one.
So we sell this merchandise, and obviously classes. Like I said, none of us actually take any kind of pay. Any money we do make, we're not technically a nonprofit, but we kind of function that way. Any money we make, we roll right back into the next project. There's already been a few projects we've had to say, no, we can't do that right now because we just don't have the funding for it. But in the future, we might have the funding to be able to do something. Or we like the idea of like sponsoring events. We might not insist, it might not be our event, but we could sponsor it and provide some financial assistance.
And any dollar spent on our classes, that's something, it's important. The fees that we charge are not paying for anybody's lake house. The fees for the classes are all go right back into Homesteaders of Indiana so we can keep making it bigger and better and keeping it at high quality.
And I know we've all dumped or put our own money into this also. Brooks fronted some money for the soap class. I fronted some money to buy a bulk order of merchandise for that conference. We do pay ourselves back, but
Yeah,
we're having faith that this is going to be a success.
yeah.
So fronting some money here and there. But yeah, I hate to come across I'm afraid we come across as annoying to people pushing stuff. It's like we're not pushing our merchandise because yeah, we'd love to see you wear it, but we kind of need the money also.
I think people understand. I mean, I certainly understand things are not cheap, and it costs money to do these things. And I think it was Walt Disney. I heard a quote one time. He goes, "We don't make movies to make money. We make money so we can make more movies." And it's kind of like that, it's kind of like that with
exactly
these.
right.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you guys think is. You want to do more. You want to do more classes. You want to, do more for this group, and it takes money to do that. In some cases, so you have to do that. And I think most people understand that. In the world we live in, people understand that. Yeah, for sure.
We do want to look into potentially becoming a nonprofit in the future. We recently got our LLC. Just to protect us a little bit, but nonprofits are really kind of the route we would like to take because there's some additional grants and funding and stuff we could apply for that could open up some more possibilities. It's a lot. That's a process, and it's not one we were willing to take on right at this minute. But that is kind of a future goal of ours is to actually become a legit nonprofit.
Sure. Well,
since we function as one already, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But we'll get there. There's so much growth to happen. And, it's not like homesteading's going away, right? This is always, it's been here forever. It'll be here forever in some form. And so, we've got lots of time to keep developing and getting better and learning new things. And we're just excited to, again, keep that focus on community and local and making connections. So.
Yeah, you guys came a long way in just 3 short years. I mean, you've done a lot already. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And I've got a platform here. So anything you guys want to promote, let me know. I'll be happy to share those things, and we'll get the word out the best I can, because I love what you're doing, and I want to see more states do it. But I want to, of course, I'm fond of this state. I want to see more happen here. So you definitely keep doing what you're doing. And I think growth comes slowly. You can overdo it and go too fast, and it ruins things. You can make mistakes, and it can actually hurt you. So do it at the pace that it needs to happen, and do it right. And it looks like you guys are doing that. And it sounds like you got a great group of people. I'd love to almost be a fly on the wall listening to your little meetings about all the ideas you have going on, because it sounds like you got some great plans, and it's just going to take time to see them all come to a head. And I can't wait to see what's in store for it. So you guys keep up that great work for sure.
Thank you so much. The entire group of admins are just so focused on the same, big dreams with goals that make sense. And it is just an incredible group of people to work with. They are so talented, so clever, and bringing so many different strengths together to keep this going forward.
Yeah.
And I can't stress that enough. This would not work if there wasn't a team of people there to make it work.
Yep.
I started the page. I ran it alone for about 3 or 4 months. But I've had big dreams from the start. It's just a matter of getting the right people in the place to kind of achieve those dreams. So none of my original admins are still admins. It's kind of a revolving door. People come and go, but every single one along the line has been a huge reason why we've had success and why we will continue to have success. Definitely couldn't do it without a team of people, without my village here helping me.
Absolutely.
Great group of people.
That's great. Yeah. Well, again, I'll be here to promote anything I can promote, and you guys keep doing what you're doing, because I love it. And I'll make sure I get the links to your website, to the Instagram page, all that stuff in the show notes. And I'm going to really encourage people, go, whether you're in Indiana or not, go check it out, because there's a lot of good information in there besides just seeing Indiana homesteaders. But that right there is even enough, even if you're out of state, because you get, again, inspired and encouraged. And you know what? Friendships don't stop at state lines. So we can all be friends and learn from each other. And but especially my friends in Indiana, go be a part of this, because it's a huge thing. And I think that we all need to be a little closer knit and support one another and be there for one another. So keep up that great work. And I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast and telling us all about it, because I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thanks for having us.
Yes. Thanks for having us.
Looking around, I finally see I think I need a change. The rat race I wanna flee, my world I'll rearrange. I'm getting back to the roots of how it's meant to be. Growing gardens, picking fruit, racing livestock, living free. It's a modern homestead. Build a modern homestead. A lot of folks don't understand why I wanna live this way. They've never eaten from their land like we do here every day. Snapping beans like Grandma did, sitting on her front porch. Hunting and fishing like a kid once you've done all of your chores. It's a modern homestead. Build a modern homestead. Country or city, there's a way to make this change. You gotta start today.